Tune in Tokyo.
All right.
All right, you ready to phone it up?
What now? You ready?
Almost.
Are you ready, Jeff? Are you ready?
I'm
Can I hear myself?
I'm trying.
What happened here?
Looks good.
All right, so I think we're live. Are we live? What the
I
heck?
can't hear you.
I can't hear me either.
What'd you do?
Well, this worked a second ago. That's how things go, isn't it?
All right.
All right, so it's showing up over there.
Trying to be on time and.
Oh, I plugged it.
Oh.
That's the culprit. All right. Well, there we go.
Hey,
Whoa.
there we go.
All right. So, anyways, hey Bob, can you actually can you hear us, Bob? Can you give me a response there?
Hi, Bob.
So, welcome to Y Rush Racing. I'm Charlie Hawkins. This is
Jeff Ott.
Jeff Ott. Jeff, welcome.
Thank you for having me, man.
How you doing?
Good to be here. Great.
Yeah. How you doing today?
Well, a little tired. Been work all day, but we're here.
So I don't know if if people were watching this or whatever. It's been kind of cold around here lately. Have you?
A little bit.
Have you been staying warm?
Going out and scraping your window every morning really lets you know.
Oh man, I got new to me truck. It's 2015, but it has this thing called a remote start.
Oh, you're cheating.
Man, I love it.
That's what I thought, like, when everybody was using electric starts on the line and we were all still kicking. I'm like, oh, that's cheating. But actually, sometimes it's better to have a kick.
Yeah, yes, I agree with you on that. All right, so first of all, adjust my headphones here a little bit. Uh-oh, did I do it? Oh, I'm doing it again.
Oh, my gosh, you're killing me.
I am killing it. There we go. So,
Bob says yes, he can hear us.
Yes. All right. So let's try this again. How this is going to work today, similar to what it was last time, which is we got me live, of course. Me and Jeff, I should say. You can watch us on YouTube. We got if you don't want to watch, and I fully understand that. You can also listen on Facebook. I think that's how you listened last week,
that's what
right?
I did last week. Yeah.
And then also it's live on Spreaker. I put the link on my Facebook page if you're interested. And then, of course, if you can't really make the show because, life happens and they're like, hey, well, 8 o'clock on a Thursday isn't really going to work. I'm at basketball or, whatever. You can always follow up later, right? So we'll have, pretty much for the podcast, any platform that I could find that's reasonable. You got within 2 days, it'll be posted there. In a few hours after we end, it'll be on YouTube where you could watch it. So there's all kinds of options if this obviously doesn't work for you. And I don't know if you noticed, but if you're on, message retracted for some reason. If you're live with us on YouTube, we got our chat's actually working now. So hey everybody,
Sweet.
I am glad we got that going. And so. Anyways, yeah, and thank you, by the way, everybody that subscribed to No Bad Days Films, and actually my channel too got a huge bump in those subscriptions. So thank you for doing that. Also, there's these guys up here, the Facebooks. Who knows? If anybody knows, I've been trying to use Instagram more often. If anybody knows how on earth, anybody good to follow, please let me know because I really got nothing. I've been trying to be more. Have you ever used Twitter?
No, I'm not a Twitter kind of guy. I do a little Instagram here or there, but
There's a lot of talk about Twitter, but I just don't understand it. So, anyways, if somebody has a good link or whatever, or who to follow, let me know. But yeah, Facebook and then of course Instagram as well down there. Trying to be a little more proactive on letting you guys know about what's coming on. The show time, I'm going to try to be consistent now. So it was 8:30 last week, 8 o'clock. I think this will work better, 8 o'clock for you guys at home. Especially if somebody's on the East Coast. We'll have James King calling in here before too long.
King James.
Yeah. From the West Coast. He's got a wild week coming up or going on right now. And then, that's a little bit about the show. Now, let's get back to this guy, Jeff. So, Jeff's had a busy winter. So let's start with the Missouri Hare Scrambles. How did that end up for you?
For the end of the year?
Yeah. The Missouri's for the season.
The season, Casey beat me out. We had great battles all year, but I ended up second this year. Tried to repeat as champ, but it was actually kind of funny because we had exact opposite years. Like last year, I didn't have any race beyond third. Like it was third or better every round. So this year I was like, I had a 7th, I had a 6th, I had, some bad days. I had a flat or, something broke mechanical, something happened. But Casey had super consistent year, first and second almost every time. So he beat me by a couple points. So.
We did. Okay. That's
right. Good.
And then, because you were a defending champ.
Yeah.
So you won in, 2017? You won 18. Yep. Fingers crossed, 18, hopefully.
Right? Now, you don't have me and Casey.
If I don't get a dumb wild hair and... Well, honestly,
I think you just ought to move up to AVET with us, Charles.
I'm thinking that or B.
No, there's too many youngsters in there that just want to run you over.
I got to pass them. It seems like
it's okay. Well, check this out. The hillbilly we did at Lewes when I raced A.
Yeah.
I learned a ton about oh wow, I don't have to pass 22 people to get to where I need to be in speed.
That's why I'm thinking I can.
And
just
I had so much more
B.
energy until, of course, I had my little failure in the creek. But that's another story.
Stuff happens.
Yeah.
What? This year? What'd you do in the? Oh, is that your hub?
Yeah. Well, WR Creek. There was a guy crashed in front of me. I tried to go around him.
Wait, is it called WR Creek?
Isn't it?
I don't know.
WR
is Yamaha.
There's a bunch of creeks.
I thought it was XR, which is Honda.
XR Creek. That's probably it. So. I can't remember all of them. We got so many different names for stuff. It's crazy. But just went to go around him and caught my chain guide on the rock in the perfect way and tore it completely off. I actually had to beat my sprocket with a hammer just so I could roll it enough to get it up in the truck to get it out of there. So
seriously?
Yeah, it was pretty bad. It tore the whole chain guide off the weld.
Did you get down on like between two rocks?
Yeah, something happened. Yeah, because I just went over and it bobbled, and then I thought I just killed it, and then I went to start it, and it just goes because there was no chain or no sprocket, no hub,
just in the right spot.
Yep, good one.
So we finished out the Missouri Hair Scramble season. I guess you got second, and. No, I got fourth there in the BVET, and I was
1 point.
Yeah, Aaron, he got me.
Yeah, if I'd have known, man, I could have pulled over it the last round and been like, "Hey, Charles, man, go around."
I'm not catching Casey anyways. Yeah. No,
Aaron's a good dude though.
Oh, he's awesome.
Yeah,
and
everybody we race with, great bunch of guys.
Well, that's what I love about racing in general. It's not just the few guys you race against; it's the whole crowd.
Yep,
and from especially if you camp. Do you? Well, I've saw you at some of the races.
Sometimes.
Just got to watch out for the generators, right?
Yeah, that one guy. He needs a lesson in generator etiquette for sure.
At Cahokia.
Oh man, I had to move my whole camp down 100 yards just to somewhat hear myself think.
It was not like it was like a job site generator that had no muffler on it.
Yeah,
I don't know. It might have had.
I think it had straight pipes actually.
Okay.
It was loud.
It was loud. I thought I had it all figured out because I have my little 5x8 cargo trailer or closed trailer, and I thought I have this all figured out. Nothing's going to stop me now from getting a good sleep because I bring a box fan now.
Yeah.
And just park next to somebody that has a large generator. I'm like, hey, can I plug in? Because I don't have a generator. They say, go ahead. But that guy, he overpowered that fan, and I still had to wear earplugs.
Yeah.
But. So, anyways, if you have a loud generator, be courteous and camp way far away from everybody else.
Bob said he saw it. It was wild, yeah.
Oh, XR Creek?
Yeah. Pardon my language. When, what you're in the heat of the battle is kind of a thing.
That's one thing I like about Lewes Place is that there is such a huge concentration. And so if people aren't familiar, Lewes Place is almost always, since I've been racing, the first round of the Hillbilly Series. That's the winter series. So there's, you got the start, and then everybody heads down to the creek. Whereas this is, go to my videos.
Decent place to watch.
It's an awesome place to watch. And what's really cool is seeing like the AM race and all those guys come through, and it's just littered, right? And then and then you see there are a few pros that may bobble, but man, they're just literally like skimming. It seems like
they don't touch it long. I remember it might have been this year or the year before. Cole Hensley was in front of me on practice, and we jumped down into the creek, and he goes, "Whop!" And I swear he jumped like 30 feet without even touching anything. I'm like,
gone.
That guy.
Yeah, I don't.
Good times, though.
Know how they do it. I left my pad of paper over there. I'm going to borrow yours for a
go
second.
ahead. Cheat sheet.
So that's right. Okay, so then that wrapped. So the Missouri Hair Scramble season wrapped up, and then next thing I know, I see you at Lewes Place actually, and you're not. No, you did.
No,
I
raced Lewes, and then the 100-miler was after that, and got with Chili, and we worked all week out there, and that's a deal right there.
So tell me about that.
How much goes into that race is insane.
So, and is it just because you're putting up arrows and then when?
That's the easy part.
Okay.
Putting up the arrows is the easy part. We went through, did a bunch of trail maintenance, breaking big rocks into little rocks to fill in holes, and because that's what trail maintenance do. Most places they'll, we'll just make a new trail around it. Well, no, you should take care of the trail you already have. You just got to, pull in the sides, pickaxe and sledgehammer and.
So this is the stuff I don't know about because I just show up for practice,
Yeah, it's not like you jump on your dirt bike and go slap up some arrows.
No.
The only time we even ride is when we're just kind of piggybacking through the trail or like maybe the day of. Everything else you're walking.
You're walking.
We walked that place at least 5 times all the way around.
So what you're saying, and then if you're like a guy that tracks your steps, you try to get like 10, 12,000 steps every day. What you need to do is get hold of Chili.
Yeah, go be a trail slave for a day.
And you'll get your steps.
When I called Chili and I was like, hey, need some help for 100? He's like, careful what you wish for.
Yeah.
And I learned because Friday, the day before, it poured.
It did.
We were out there freezing to death, soaking wet. I mean, miserable.
Okay.
And it's a lot of trimming, a lot of, and of course we try to make everything safe as possible, trim our trees, make sure everybody can see, and then, of course, planting your arrows ahead. And there's a lot that goes into it.
And I will say that the hillbilly courses in general are some of the safest that I've been on.
They go 100%.
Yeah, because especially one thing I always freak about, one, I hate locust trees, and there's not a... locust trees are kind of hit or miss, but it seems like they never really take us too close to them if they are around. But secondly, pine or cedar trees.
Yeah, cedar trees will get you.
Bad news. And they don't just cut the branches back. They take them back to the trunk.
Yeah, you got it, because, that's just somebody falls over and impale or, even poke you in the eye. We don't want any of that stuff. We want everybody to be safe and have a great time. And Chili and Jordan do an amazing job. Working with those guys, I learned a ton about what goes on in a race.
So the 100-miler, so after Moto 2, I had to go back and I had to go back to the scoring trailer. Oh, because I switched helmets. So I needed to get my
had Donnie's
RFID tag.
What do you have? Like a unicorn on the back of that thing or something? What was it? Or a princess sticker or something?
I think it was funny. Megan's or somebody's helmet, actually. Yeah. I don't know, but it was set up for night, so I was like, yeah, I'll use it. Thank you, Donnie. And so, but the scoring chicks were waiting forever. They said there's somebody out there that's coming in still, and I was like, it's dark out, you know that, right?
Yeah.
And well, it was Parker, and I didn't know at the time.
Yeah, I had a good story about that.
And then, lo and behold, here comes this 2 bikes, 1 light coming out down through the field. Tell me about that.
I was actually final sweep for the 100-miler, so I'm of course the last check, and I think within that 6-mile part that I probably had at least 6 or 7 bikes either broke down, out of gas, just totally exhausted and wanting nothing more to do with it, or just stuck because they couldn't see.
Yeah.
And that's the way it was with Parker. He had a little bitty light, but it just wasn't enough. And then so I tried to ride behind him just to kind of show him, but the shadow was overcasting and he couldn't see anything anyway. So I would ride up just a little bit, and then he'd come and tag, and then we wait, and then we go up. So we get down to the bottom of something special. Well, we didn't go up it, but that little side hill that you guys took the first lap of the night loop.
The wall, right?
No, on something special. Like you guys went something special after the second lap. But the first lap, you went around it up just kind of like on the side of it.
Oh, the normal bypass. Yeah. Okay, yeah.
Well, that would, no light. It's still very difficult.
Well, I thought you guys had to go up the wall too. No?
Yeah,
So you did.
That's where I caught him.
Oh, okay.
I found him at the wall at the top. He was like, I can't see. Where am I going?
Yeah.
And then it was a good time.
And then there was another like kind of boulder field that you had to go down and through.
Well, yeah, we skipped. I think it's Pee Wee Creek right there.
Pee Wee Creek,
yeah, you go up the wall and then you kind of go around a little bit and then you go down Pee Wee Creek. And I was yelling at him like, "Don't go that way. Turn right."
Oh, so you bypassed Pee Wee Creek?
Oh, yes.
Oh,
yeah,
good.
We're not trying to go down that in the dark with no lights. I mean,
and so you. I guess going up the bypass of something special is probably the most challenging thing you did.
Yeah, in the dark, it's different.
So I guess because of that, have you guys talked? I guess you just had to get him out of the woods.
Yeah, it was my job I am the last one out no matter what.
I mean, was he committed to? I mean, did you? I guess because you got so far, you said you can go and finish anyways, or you didn't be like, no, timing's done, or
It kind of, but I mean, there's really, I mean,
you got this
no
far.
real way out until now. I'm gonna say it's after the wall and all that stuff. There is a Jeep trail that you can go on to get out of there, but other than that, man, it's
So hey,
you're
you made
in
it
there.
that far, might as well finish.
Yeah, pretty
Who cares?
much.
Who cares if Charlie's waiting at the finish line?
Right.
Well, I just want to say I was impressed. That's an experience right there. And sometimes the worst experiences later on turned out to be the most memorable experiences. So
I was proud to see you and a lot of guys.
oh well, yeah. Well, I'm talking about you just trying to work with Parker.
Just trying to sweep and everybody. Yeah.
Yeah. No,
I had one guy his chain was off, and I'm like, here, man, you just roll it up on the sprocket, and spin your wheel, And he's like, oh, awesome.
Yeah.
So I mean,
stuff,
little stuff, but a lot of people were out of gas. I couldn't believe how many
fuel.
people were out of gas.
Yeah.
I mean, I went back to the pits probably 7 times to get 2 liters full of gas so I could put it in my Camelback to hike it 7 miles back into the woods. Doug Gardner's down there on like a side-by-side cussing me because he's like, we've walked 7 miles. We can't find anybody. I was like, I told him right down the bottom of the valley, but, it's hilarious. People get way turned around back in there. So.
Oh, man.
Especially when the sun goes down and it gets dark in them woods.
I mean, because, they say I ride at Hardwood Hills on occasion.
Oh, yeah.
Relatively frequently. I'm a member there. And they say, just, to get back, just go downhill and go to the big rock and then go up the hill, right?
Yeah.
And I'm like, so I get down to the creek or a creek, right? And I'm like, all right, let's go that way. But there's really...
Yeah, when you get down in the bottom of the valley, which way is home?
Well, that's sometimes, too. You're down there, and you're like, all right, which way's downstream? And then if I'm too far, did it again.
Better use your 100-mile-an-hour tape.
Yeah, no kidding. Gorilla tape is not cutting it today. Anyways, no, so, you get, I figured sometimes I've been too far below the big rock, and then you got to go upstream. Anyways. Yeah, I get turned around once I start getting on trails.
I didn't know the place as well. I mean, we've raced there over the years, a bunch of times, but actually working there and, riding it backwards or going this way and that way, I was like, oh, okay, I actually know where I am now.
Yeah.
Between Jeff's Jungle and, all these little names, they're like, oh, okay, this is that valley or this is that valley. And so it's kind of neat to learn it all.
Yeah, absolutely. So, anyways, if you ever want to help, they are always looking for volunteers. Yeah. Nobody ever says no when they're looking for help when it comes to...
Until they've done it once, and they're like, wait, I don't want to do that anymore.
There's a lot of people have done it once.
Once. That's it.
So we finished up the Missouris. We started the Hillbilly. We kind of got in between. During that time, you also took on a new role with Missouri Hare Scramble Series. What's that?
The promotions officer. So I get all the sponsors for all the races. Extra sponsors, anything I can do to help our series and promote it, and of course all the businesses, help them promote their business too. So
yeah, how's that going?
It's good. I actually have all the races taken care of. I got my last one. Sir Doc and Festus called me last night, and that was the final round for HHR number 2,
right on,
which will be round 9. So, but yeah, we got some great sponsors this year. Tons of stuff going on. Actually learned a lot doing that too, like how much actually goes into it, and calling people and sending emails and just making my own kind of deal for it. Because Kurt, of course, he's just like, here you go.
Yeah. Well, because a year ago or so, this is before I found out it was so it's for 2 years. You're the promotions officer, is that right? And so I actually called Eric Altman, who was not before. Clay was before you, and then Eric.
Yeah, Eric was before.
And I was like, "Hey, what's this promotions officer thing? Is that something that I could help with or whatever?" He started telling me about all the stuff that he did.
Oh yeah.
And first of all, it's sales, which I hate sales.
Yeah,
I'm out. And then he was like, how much, what they actually did. I was like, holy cow! I mean, what does anybody else do?
Well, and luckily for me, I was kind of in between jobs for about couple weeks or whatever, so that worked out really well.
Yeah.
So I spent a solid week of just calling, sending emails,
So you did a lot of pre-work then.
Yeah.
So hopefully you don't have to do as much during the season and whatnot.
Yeah. I mean, my deadline for sponsors was February 1st. I got it all done, so I can get the banner made and everything will be set in stone.
So
hopefully
we still got 1 day left. Is what I'm hearing. Yeah. No, yeah. So that's awesome. Congratulations to you. And
thanks. I'm just really excited to be more involved with our series and just racing in general, and just making it a better deal for everybody, from the little kids to the adults. Just make sure everybody has a good time, and as racers, we want to. I mean, yeah, we're racing for a plaque, no big deal, but it's still, it's what we do. It's fun,
And kind of giving back to the community.
Yeah, exactly. We want to, we're not all professionals and we don't make the big checks, so it's nice
I wish.
when we get back a little bit, it shows, and I think everybody appreciates it, and I certainly do.
Yeah, I know I appreciate it, so it's awesome. All right, so let's see what time it is. Okay, we should have James King calling us here before too long. Before he gets to it, the National Enduro Round 1, Sumter National Enduro is coming up this weekend, in fact.
Yeah. Yeah, I heard that thing sold out in 10 minutes.
Something like that, yeah.
Like, how do you even? Well, I guess I'm not racing this one.
I mean, like you sign up at like 9, like
Yeah, waiting for the clock to turn so you can click.
And then you're like you're row 70. You're like, oh man,
wow, how does that go so fast?
So
but
you gotta be ready. But that's kind of like I used to be more of a runner, and it was the Boston Marathon that was that way. And you just had to, you were literally like minutes, and it was not just 700 spots. We're talking about 35,000 spots. Did we get some?
I was just reading the comments there, seeing what's going on.
Says, can't believe how many guys skipped gas.
Yeah. Well, it's funny because the first lap was only 23 miles. The second lap was more like 27.
Okay.
So they came through and they're like, "Oh, I probably got enough because it's only 50."
I'm guilty of that.
They were, and some of them were in the worst spots you could possibly be. No way out. You're down the bottom of the valley. You're there.
That's the way it works, right?
Yep.
So, it's just if it's gonna go bad, it's gonna go real bad.
Yeah, usually.
It sold out super fast as far as I can tell. But since then, I mentioned this last week. I think I've seen it again since then as well. They're not going to turn anybody away and say, no, you can't race if you show up.
Right.
Of course.
But, what's going to be row 90 with 4 foot deep ruts by the time you're
randomly generated
off.
Or who knows what, So, somebody may not. I noticed I looked up on the pro. Okay. I don't know what that said. Anyways, so on the pro, and there's like 3 spots left that are just like pro 7, 8, 9 or something like that. I don't know.
Right.
So maybe you could be on row 37. You could be number 37A.
Yeah, right behind Baylor.
If I ever got an A in the 30s, I would like frame it.
Right.
Even though I didn't, wasn't pro 1, but like, hey, I got an A in the 30s. That's pretty boss. But yeah. No, but coming up. So it's a lot of sand. So I want to kind of talk to James King about if he's been practicing for sand. He's been playing out in the desert out west right now.
Well, and then the ISDE, I'm pretty sure that place was all sand.
Sandy.
A lot of it. The motocross part, when watching his videos, I was like, man, that looks brutal.
Yeah.
Like Steve Underwood told me one time when he went and did the Baja thing last year, he was like, I rode sand whoops for like 100 miles straight.
Oh.
I'm like, oh. And then he showed up at the 100-miler like the next weekend. I'm like, are you crazy, man? You're like 60-something years old and still out there just tearing it up. It's awesome. I love it.
Oh, this was just recently?
Yeah, just this last year. I think it was just before the 100-miler last year.
Okay, because he went out there and raced on a team.
The Baja thing. Yep.
Awesome. So there's that. So James, whenever we're ready for you. Otherwise, I'm
dialed up.
Talking to Jeff. Well, he said that. He said, I got to go to the top of the hill because he's camping out somewhere.
Down the valleys out there.
Yeah, he's got to go to the top of the hill. And so, anyways, we'll see when he calls, if he calls. So tell me a little more about your riding history. Did you start?
Yeah, let's see. I want to say probably 6th, 7th grade. Started out on a KX80, racing motocross, Sprout Patch and Possum Hollow, where our Tuesday practices, Saturday race on the weekends, and did that for a while. Got out of it for a little bit, and then I met, of course, Steve Batson. My brother and him actually raced BMX. They went to high school together in Republic.
Okay.
So got with them. It was, I believe, 2005 or 6. My very first hair scramble was Reed Springs at Blue Holler. I was on a 96 YZ250.
Okay.
No bark busters. Had no idea what I was getting into. They're like, well, we all camped out and got like drunk the night before. We had a big party out at Steve's house, and they're like, "Well, let's go race this hair scramble tomorrow." I'm like, "What's a hair scramble?" And they're like, "Oh, you'll find out."
Number one, never show up to a hair scramble without bark busters.
No,
it's a good way to hurt your hands.
I like to see the guys. They got like cowboy boots and jeans on, no bark busters. I'm looking down the line like, "Oh no, that's not good." Yeah, no, it's kind of funny, but yeah. And showed up there and did my first one and was hooked ever ever since.
Yeah.
You know?
So 2006.
I mean, yeah, 2006 been doing it, but here there didn't do full seasons, but because this last season. At Missouri State 2017 was my actually full season of Missouri State. I did a couple here or there, but usually I was always hillbilly because of the heat and all that stuff. Had some real bad heat strokes back in the day, but kind of over that now. But yeah, just racing in the wintertime because it was cold outside and
So
I wouldn't overheat.
And now you love it.
Now I'm full blown everything. So
yeah, and so what we talked about. What's your if you had to do one thing for a day on a bike, you had your bike with you, like, hey, let's go to a race, let's go to Chadwick, let's go to Hardwood Hills. You want to go to motocross? What's your day?
I like the racing, but I'd rather get like a group of buddies and just go out and go exploring.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's just go hit stuff that's never been hit before or ride stuff that other people don't want to ride, or just challenge yourself, and you're just going to get better by doing that.
Yeah, absolutely.
You see a big ledge rock hill and be like, oh, let's try to climb this, or or go down it.
Yeah.
Either way. So just whatever you can do to kind of train and
just have fun.
Yeah.
So it's all
about having fun, because if you're not having fun, then you're on a dirt bike. How can you not be having fun?
Yeah.
And that's what I kept telling people the whole time about mile 60 or 70. They're just like, oh, I'm so done. I'm like, oh, you're almost there. Come on, you're having a blast. And they're just like, okay. You try to keep them fired up so they don't just think they're out there going to die.
Yeah, well, and it's a lot of those people. It may be miserable at the time, but, man, that's some of these cold, wet races. My first 100-miler was in 2016, 15, 16.
Yeah, the hurricane one.
The one where it just dumped and it was like 35 degrees. It was so cold and wet.
I remember that because Chili was standing on the side of the trail yelling at me, "Isn't this fun?" And I'm just like, dude.
I couldn't move my hands.
I got sand in my eyeballs so bad they're bleeding. I can't even see right now, And that was, I think we went up Bastard Hill that year, and they actually shut it down the second moto because it had rained so much. But that whole second moto, I was just dreading that hill. I'm like, oh, man, we got to climb that hill at the end. We got to climb that hill at the end. And we get there, and my dad, my brother, and some other people standing there like, oh, you get to turn right. And I was just like, relieved. I don't want to do that again. And
but it's those races that really.
Oh, yeah. When you get done and you're like, man, I completed that.
I did it.
I did it.
Yeah.
Like when you did the night stuff, dude, I was like super proud of you, man. I even had adrenaline coming off you. When we were standing on something special and I'm yelling, trying to, keep you guys going, and I'm just like, I'm excited about it. It's good stuff.
Oh, that's something I wanted to ask you about. So I've never swept. I would actually like to sweep at some time. I think that makes some great helmet cam footage. Just sweeping a race and some of the behind the scenes action. And if you're gonna find people laying on the side of the trail, it's no better place to do it as a sweeper, right?
Yep.
And one of the things I was thinking about though is, like, I watched some Pee Wee races and or the Pee Wee pros or whatever, and if they fall over, I don't go immediately to help them. Right. I kind of let them try to figure out what's going on. Now, some of the kids.
Well, yeah, if they're pinned under their bike.
Okay.
Stuff
There's
like
that situation. But if they're moving, right, like they're not stuck. If they can't start their bike, stuff like that, I definitely step in. If they can't pick up the bike, I'll step in. But I let them struggle for a little bit first.
Yeah.
Right.
You got to learn.
Same as at Lou's place. In fact, same thing happened there. Coming out of XR Creek, a guy fell over. He had a little help falling over, and then another guy kind of fell over on top of him, and so I kind of gave it kind of like, ooh, he doesn't look comfortable underneath there. I'm gonna go.
Yeah, he looks like he's in a little bit of pain there. So,
but I guess for you, if you're standing on a hill, right, and because this was, I saw you on a hill at Peace Valley, right?
Yeah, I was on the last hill of the PM section. That was my spot.
How do you or not help people? Or what's your kind of judgment?
PM race, try not to help anybody unless it's, like I said, if they've fallen over or they're pinned or something like that. You can tell. But now, of course, you want to try to keep everybody moving because you don't want any showstoppers is what we call it.
Okay.
Like in the AM course when you went up Dozer Hill. Okay. That was just trying to keep everybody moving and flowing so they don't get so bottled up. That's a big challenge. But other than that, it's kind of nice, though, because you can teach people things. You're like, okay, man, here's your line. You're going to go up here and just stay smooth on the gas, and you'll go right up it. And they do it, and then they come around the next lap, and they do it again. You're like, all right, it's awesome, man. You're learning. You're doing it.
That's the best way to learn is
and
by
then I'll
making
come
mistakes.
around and fall over and be like, well, don't do what I just did. But,
Yeah. Do what I say, not what I do.
Exactly.
So I got that one a lot growing up. So, yeah, because I guess, because I noticed that, like, you give a lot of, verbal encouragement whenever we come by, because we're like, just like, seat bouncing or whatever that is called, trying to go up a hill. And then you're like, come on, Charlie, come on, Rick and whoever.
Yeah, feet on the pegs.
Yeah.
Stay on the gas. I mean, anything you can do to try to help people. So.
Okay, so it's kind of the same rule though. You don't just jump in immediately. To
oh
help,
no, I don't try
unless
to.
Unless looks like there's a need.
Yeah, unless they're like just pinned or they're
or
sometimes they're just completely exhausted and they're not going to pick up their bike.
Yeah,
they'll stand there like, you going to help me?
Yeah.
You're like, well, yeah, let me walk down the hill. I'll be there in a minute. But there's a couple of them at Peace Valley that. I mean, they got off the trail and they just kept going backwards, and they'd end up clean way down off the side where nobody needs to be because there's no traction. And that whole place, I don't know if anybody probably doesn't know this, but that whole place was hand pickaxed, the whole thing, by hand.
Really?
Like Doug Gardner and about, I think, 6 or 7 other guys went out there the very first time and hand picked that trail.
I did notice that. If you guys, Peace Valley was the last hillbilly. If you want to go back on my channel, you can see it. Ton of elevation, a lot of super steep hills, a lot of off camber.
Oh, that's a huge place.
And, hey. That is loud. All right, let's answer that quickly.
King James.
Is this the King James? Or James King? Oh, James, are you there?
Yes, sir. I'm here. Can you hear me?
Dude,
what's up, James?
Yeah, we can hear you. Hey, welcome to Y Rush Racing. I'm glad you could join us today or evening. Now, tell us, where are you at right now?
Well, right now I'm standing on the top of a hill. About what do you think we ran? Probably 10 miles up to get it service.
Did you run or ride?
Oh well, we took the it's a YXZ, isn't it?
Okay.
Yeah, we took a YXZ.
You're in extreme shape, so you.
You never know with those.
Well, anyway, we had to get up to the top of the mountain. I am looking out at Hammertown, USA, which is basically an RV city that's built in the Lucerne Valley, in Johnson Valley, California.
So you're kind of what, east? Is that east of LA then, or where are you roughly?
Yeah, we're about 100 miles east of LA right now.
So is that considered the high desert there, or are you still just kind of in the desert?
No, we're still in what they would call the high desert. We got a pretty big mix of dry lake beds and then instantly into some really, really gnarly tall mountains.
Okay. And Jeff, I don't know if you know or not, but I have Jeff Ott here with me. So that's the other voice you may be hearing.
Okay.
So James King, everybody. And so James has had a whirlwind of a year, I would say. Oh, man. So you did, well, first of all, he did the ISDE in 2018. You were on the Mo Mudders club team, am I correct?
That's correct, with Talon Singson and Nick O'Brien.
Nick O'Brien, okay. And then where are they out of? I'm not familiar with those names.
Talon's out of Fife Lake, Michigan, and Nick is out of Chillicothe, Ohio.
Oh, okay. Awesome. And so, you can't just show up for the ISDE. You had to do some qualifiers and stuff like that. Where did you race in order to qualify for the ISDE?
Well, nowadays they do a 3-race qualifier series, and pretty much the way that works is you have 3 weekends worth of qualifying, 2 days each, so 6 days total, and they take your best 4 days that count towards your score. First qualifier was in Florida, second qualifier was in Michigan, and the final qualifier was a full gas sprint Enduro in Virginia.
Oh, okay, so they were all east. I thought, did you not do something out west too?
Well, so they have an East Coast qualifier series and a West Coast qualifier series.
Yeah.
And the way that it works is they take the as far as club teams go, which is what I was on. They take the best 7 from the East and the best 7 from the West, and then the AMA chooses a final rider to make up 5 3-man club teams.
Okay.
And doing that, you got to ride pretty much every kind of terrain there is. I mean, Florida to up north, down south. I mean, it's got to be just about a little bit of everything, eh?
Right. Yeah. This year they're doing one in Mississippi. They're doing the same location in Virginia, and then they're doing another one. Where's it at? Jeez.
Well, do you plan on trying to chase or qualify for the ISDE again, 2019?
Well, the biggest challenge about ISDE is the cost.
Yeah,
I was
I'm
about to
sure.
say,
I
you
can
raised
imagine what it costs to go over. Like
Was
that.
it
Right.
$30,000 or
now-
something like that, or what was it?
Yeah. They recommend that you be prepared to spend about $30,000 in order to compete, and we came very, very close to that.
Awesome.
Wow.
That estimate.
Did you raise the funds
to
then?
answer your, yes, it was. We did a lot of fundraising. A lot of folks participated in the riding schools that Cole Hensley and I put on. We did a benefit ride in Hot Springs, Arkansas. We sold T-shirts. We did a lot of hard footing it, trying to do some fundraising, and we had a lot of fantastic sponsors that helped us out, helped us get there. But basically, to answer your question, is that you can go to the qualifiers and find out if you were fast enough to qualify before you commit. And Cole Hensley and Nathan Rector are wanting to qualify this year, and we've kicked around the idea of all three trying to qualify, and if we make it, we'll all three be on the Missouri Motors team again, I would suspect. And
Awesome.
that event would be really, really, really fun to do with your buddies.
Oh, I can imagine.
One of those lifelong things, that you'll always remember. So the answer is I'm going to run the qualifiers and let things kind of fall into place, and then sort of determine if we're going to be able to come up with the funds again.
Yeah.
But I can tell you one thing for sure, is that as soon as we got there, it did not take very long to understand that all the hard work, months and months and months of hard work that was put in, was 100% worth it.
It was.
That was
I
an
can
experience
imagine.
of a lifetime.
Yeah, and you guys did
and
awesome
luckily,
too.
Well, that's Talon, Nick, and I. Our three-man team was able to finish eighth overall out of 106 club teams.
Amazing.
And then all three of us were able to earn gold medals as well. And basically, in order to earn a gold medal, you have to, at the end of 6 days of racing, your total time has to be within 10% of the leader in your class.
Oh.
So it's a pretty tight margin to keep.
Sounds like
Yep.
it. And then, so you were down there you raced for 6 days, but how long?
We raced for 6 full days. I was there for 16 days. I'm sorry.
16.
The first major portion of that was about 7 days worth of walking the test sections.
Yeah.
Wow.
I ended up walking 50 miles worth of test sections, which was pretty light compared to the trophy team. I walked them all once, and then there was a few that I walked 2 times.
Light.
Well, because the trophy team, the guys like Ryan Sipes and Stu Baylor, and Zach Bell, those guys walked. Stu ended up walking about 90 miles.
Wow.
In
for the GNCC races, and I don't know about the National Enduros, but the e-bikes are becoming really popular as far as scouting out ahead of time. So you can't pre-ride. Could you not even do that at the ISDE?
No, you're not allowed to have a bicycle. You can only walk it.
Oh, okay. Can you?
I suspect that it has to do with that because of the e-bikes.
Oh, okay. Can you?
But I can tell you.
Oh, go ahead.
That you wouldn't have wanted to bicycle those.
Right.
The test sections. The test sections were gnarly. They were stuff that would not pass in a local race or like a national enduro. They're just simply too difficult, too off camber, too steep,
Right.
too crazy.
Something that'll end your day real quick if you mess up.
And it ended a lot of people's day, but you wouldn't have been able to bicycle it. Even with an e-bike, I don't think there was a lot of it that just simply wouldn't be physically possible. But
is that typical, or is that just the way Chile is?
Well, so I hear. Obviously, this was my first one, so I really can't say. But from a lot of veterans like Destry Abbott and Brian Story, those guys say that that's pretty typical. And as a matter of fact, they actually have that. They say that the transfers are sometimes even more gnarly than that. They said we got pretty lucky this year.
Oh, really?
They said sometimes the transfer sections they'll have like women's deviations. And they say when you see those, you're really in for a treat because they're actually gonna route the fastest women in the world around some stuff in a transfer section.
Wow! So they did not have, or they did have those, or did not?
They did have one, but I never really did figure out why they had it because what we ran where the women came back in, I think it wasn't really that gnarly. I think it was simply a time thing because it was a long cut. That transfer section was about an hour and 30 minutes long.
Awesome.
So,
how many miles total did you ride, James?
Well, I think it was over 900 miles. I think it was like 963 or something like that.
Of gnarly
wow.
stuff.
I wouldn't have been able to walk for a month.
Yeah. So how relieved were you after day 6? Or is it 6 consecutive days?
6 consecutive days. So we were doing, basically, you get up in the morning, we drive to the paddock, you'll get dressed. Now, the bike is an impound. So depending on how you did the previous day, when you get restacked, your starting order gets shuffled around every day depending on how you do. So every day you might start at like 8:21 or 8:46 or however. Hopefully you're earlier than later. That means you had a better day. So if your start time's at 8:25, you take off walking at 8:15, and you get to the end of the paddock where the impound is. They let you in at 8:25. You go get your bike, and then you get up on the platform and you take off. So then you'll run the transfer section out of the city.
Does your clock start whenever you take off, or when does it start for you?
Well, so it's like an Enduro where your minute leaves at a scheduled time from time checks.
Okay. So you have a bit of a transfer to your first start or your first test?
Yeah. So you're going to transfer to your first test. And then when you get there, before the test starts, there'll be another time check. And once you get there, you got to make it through that time check by your minute. And then there's like a 100-yard starting lane chute where you can actually start whenever you want. But there's like a commitment line. So once you pass the commitment line, you're in line to start the test. And it was like 20 seconds apart. Then you finish the test. You get the test sections are loops. They come back and finish in the same spot. So before you hit the commitment line, you get your tool pack and your Camelback off, and you give it to a Team USA worker. You run the test, then they give it back to you, and then you take back off on the test, heading towards the next time check. So in between time checks, you have a test and a transfer section.
Okay.
So we were running transfer sections that were, I never ran a transfer section that was less than 45 minutes long, and I would say the average was at least an hour and 10 minutes.
Oh, wow. Wow.
Yeah. So what was crazy was, so for instance, we get to a test, and you just ran almost an entire hair scramble, and it didn't count towards anything. And you got to do that 4, 5, 6 times a day.
Wow.
So anyway, it was almost 200 miles a day.
Wow. So
we're getting close to.
So you did 900 miles, 6 days. What's the wildest or craziest thing as far as that happened to you that occurred?
I'm gonna say hitting that dog.
I'd have to say hitting that dog.
Yep.
That was probably one of the. I was just cruising down this transfer, and it was real dusty. There was a couple of guys in front of me. And I heard the guy in front of me rev, and then I looked up, and before I knew it, literally in the blink of an eye, the dog ran out in front of me, and I hit the road and skidded, hit the ground and skidded for about 100 yards, just smoked him. And It was kind of cool though. This guy from Italy was behind me. He put his bike on his kickstand and got mine up and out of the trail and came over to check on me. He didn't speak English, so I didn't know what he was saying. But
he was like, "Dude, that was awesome."
It's the thought that counts.
Yeah.
And when I got up, man, I literally laughed. I just laughed for like 5 minutes while I was riding down the trail, thinking, man, that's how fast this thing can end.
Yeah.
So and that was day 4, I think, maybe. So plenty far enough into it, you'd have felt pretty gutted if you'd been taken out at that point.
Yeah. So I guess were you and the bike okay from hitting this dog?
Well, I was pretty skinned up. As a matter of fact, my left elbow is still you can still visibly see the scar where it took quite a big chunk of meat out of there.
Wow.
The bike was fine. The front end was a little twisted up. And when I made it back to the next remote pit area, I loosened everything up and got her all straightened back out and tightened up. But other than that, it was pretty well okay. Some road rash, but that's about it.
So do you have a video? I guess it sounded like you knew about the dog.
Yeah, the thing was on.
No, unfortunately, the FIM has all media licensed for that event.
Oh, seriously?
And so riders aren't allowed to wear GoPros.
So how did you?
It was just the I think his dad or somebody was filming like a Facebook kind of video or thing.
Yeah.
He was just like, man, I smoked this dog, and I was laughing so hard. I was like, James, you were one funny guy, man.
Wow. So because that's one thing about.
Well, that's probably the craziest thing.
That's one thing. So you do have a YouTube channel though. What is it?
Or do you? I actually, I probably could. One of these days, I need to give you a call and have you walk me through it. But I need to change the handle on there because I don't. It's something that I created when I was, but just a small kid. But you can find a lot of those videos.
Is it just
on my
James
Facebook
King?
page and head over to the link? Yeah, it's James King, and then a sequence of numbers afterwards.
Oh, okay.
So you guys had to once you finished for the day, you had to do all your bike maintenance right then, right? And then because your bikes went to impound.
Right. So what would happen is you would come in from the final transfer, and there would be a pre-finish area. And you'd roll into that pre-finish area, and before you could enter the pit, there was one final time check. So if you entered at 3:30 was your scheduled time to go through the pre-finish. You would get to the pre-finish, and you would take your fanny pack off. And for instance, for me, in the pits every day, I would do a front tire, a rear tire, and an air filter. So what I would do, I would take my seat bolts out. I would loosen my rim locks. I would loosen the pinch bolts on the front. I'd take the nut off the rear axle and put it all in my fanny pack.
So then when while you're waiting to go in.
Right, while you're waiting to go in, because it's still live race course, and you can work on anything you want as long as you have the tools for it.
I gotcha.
So then your time would come, and you'd go through the pre-finish, and you'd start riding through the paddock. And as you would roll up to the Team USA pits, you would get there, and there would be a stall there just for you. And they would have, for me, or take it back a step, at the pre-finish, there'd be a Team USA worker there, and she'd have a radio and a clipboard, and she'd go, James King. I'd say, yes. She goes, do you still want to do a front rear tire and an air filter? I'd say, yes, ma'am, I don't have any other problems. So when I'm rolling up to the Team USA paddock, there's a stall there for me, and they've got my front tire, my rear tire, and a brand new air filter on a brand new cage sitting there. So you'd be assigned a factory mechanic, and the mechanics can talk you through things. They can hand you tools. They can hand you parts. They just can't touch your motorcycle.
Okay.
And my mechanic, 4 out of the 6 days was Dean Wilson's old mechanic from Husqvarna. So in the time that it took me to check in and ride to the pits, do my service and ride to the impound area, it was 15 minutes, and in that time I was doing a front tire, a rear tire, and an air filter.
So when did you guys change your oil? Was that during one of the transfers, or when? Well,
what you would normally do is when you would get to one of the remote pit areas, the bike's already hot, and sometimes, for instance, if I know, okay, if I look at my time chart and I say I should have scheduled 8 minutes at this place. I'm going to push harder in that transfer section and try to get me an extra 4 or 5 minutes out of it, and then I'll change my oil there.
Okay.
And they have it all sitting there waiting.
Awesome. What about, did you change your chain and all that stuff too, and sprockets, or how did that?
No, never changed my chain. I never had to do brake pads. Those stock Yamaha brake pads are pretty incredible. The only bike issue that I had at all was on day 2. Now I still haven't figured out why, but on day 2 I had a carb issue, and it was running super, super, super lean, and it was like pinging and revving, like it doesn't have any coolant in it. Got to a remote pit area, cooled it off, took the cap off. We got radiator fluid, so we're like, okay, it's got to be a carb issue, but we didn't have any jets. So I basically rode it like that all day, made it back to the pits, and I did a rear tire, and I rejetted my carb in that 15 minutes. Other than that, all week long, we didn't have any bike issues.
Awesome. It's awesome.
Yeah, because I figured you might like change the rear sprocket for a different kind of section. Like the motocross, you might want a 49, or if you got big mountains or something, you might go up so you get a little bit more low lug or something like that.
Yeah, well, unfortunately, you just really don't have time to do that much stuff. But because the problem is you can't swap wheels. You can only change tires.
Oh.
So you would have to do the whole unbolt and rebolt process. But which is something you don't want to do.
No, after riding 100 miles a day, the last thing I want to do is change a rear tire.
Yeah.
I'm like, I'm done.
Oh, yeah.
200 miles.
But believe it or not, though, the 15-minute service at the end of the day was my favorite part of the whole day.
Really?
Because Team USA is kind of the Superman of 6 days, where all the spectators seem to gather around our pits, and there's like hundreds of people standing outside watching and cheering and taking pictures, and there's FIM officials standing there watching you, and you've got these factory mechanics that are handing you tools, and I mean it's a really cool experience to be there and see that part of it.
Awesome. Well,
be killer just to watch.
Yeah. So that sounds like an awesome experience. Good luck on getting back there again in 2019, and same to Cole, and you said Nathan Rector.
Yes, sir. That's the plan.
Sounds like a pretty good team to me.
I think Dale. Yeah, I actually think his dad Dale is also going to try to qualify for the senior team. The 40
Oh, seriously?
Plus.
So kind of because Destry Abbott was there with his son, or no?
Yeah, his son Cooper. Yeah.
So it'd be like you could have another father-son duo there. You could. That's an experience. Man, that's super. Good luck to you. Let's talk a little bit about what's going on right now. So we talked about you're in California, out in the high desert there, about an hour or so east of LA. What's going on? What are you doing?
Well, I am co-driving in this race, King of the Hammers. It's the best way to describe it. It's kind of like Burning Man for gearheads.
Well, in years past, did King of the Hammers, or maybe I'm thinking King of the Motos, did they have a motorcycle portion?
Yes, they did. And I raced King of the Motos 4 times, which is a precursor to the main event, which is what we're racing now. And basically, I'm racing in a 4400 class race car, which is the premier race class, which is next Friday's race. And I got the phone call from another local Arkansan who owns a race team, and I've got a lot of years of rock crawling experience with my dad in Hot Springs at the off-road park there.
Okay.
And I'm a pretty good mechanic, and so I've got a lot of experience here at this property in California. I've got a lot of experience of rock crawling, and so when my friend Quentin Hilburn is the driver, when he got this race team put together, he gave me a phone call and asked if I'd be in his passenger seat. And of course, naturally, I said yes.
Twist my arm.
So is this somewhere? I mean, this isn't like the Baja 1000 where it's high speeds. Is it more? You said rock crawling. It's more like a hard enduro style of the Bajas?
So what's so unique? Yeah. So what's so unique about King of the Hammers and these race cars specifically is that they have the ability to go fast and slow down and crawl some of the gnarliest rock sections you could possibly dream up. I mean, today we did some suspension tuning with King Shocks, and we were cruising across the desert in whoops that were 3 or 4 feet deep at about 85 miles an hour.
Oh wow!
Yeah, and then we got down on the dry lake bed. Yeah, and then we got down on the dry lake bed where it's pretty relatively very smooth and flat, no whoops. It's just like hard packed dry lake, and we were pushing about 110 in our race car.
And then you'll slow down to 1/8 of a mile an hour to crawl over something.
Yes, and then the course will pull off of the fast desert and head up into the mountains, and it's some gnarly stuff.
Wow. So when is your race? Today's what, Thursday? So
today's Thursday. The main race is next Friday. So basically my schedule for the next week and a half is tomorrow we're going to start pre-running. So they release the course at 8:00 tonight to go on the Lowrance GPS, and then we've also got an iPad in the car.
So you can actually know the course you can know the course in advance then.
Yeah, so they're going to pre-running opens up tomorrow. So we're going to pre-run tomorrow, and then Saturday morning I fly out of Palm Springs to Charlotte, North Carolina to go. I've got to leave the lake bed. I'm going to go race the National Enduro. Then I fly Sunday night. I fly out of Charlotte back to Palm Springs, and I'll be back on the lake bed here in California by Sunday night at 9:30.
Wow.
Then Monday we pre-run. Tuesday we do. They start qualifying. We're already pre-qualified for the race, but by qualifying, what you can do is better your start position.
Okay.
So then we'll do qualifying. Then there's several races before ours. They Wednesday and Thursday they have two events that are lower class race cars that are racing. Wednesday's what they call the Everyman Challenge, which as long as it's got different specs, and I don't know what all they are.
Pretty much bring what you got, kind of sounds like, right?
Yeah, essentially. Yeah, there's a few specs that you got to meet. But then Friday they're doing an invitation-only trophy truck race, which is going to be just in the desert. Obviously, those trophy trucks are 2-wheel drive. They're not going to get up in the rocks, but that's going to include riders like Robbie Gordon, B.J. Baldwin. The bad of the bad, Abdali Lopez, who won the Baja 1000 last year. And then Friday's our event, which is the main race.
Awesome.
And then so we'll race Friday, and then my van is going to get stored at the airport in Charlotte. So Saturday morning I'll fly back to Charlotte to race the full gas sprint enduro in South Carolina and then drive home.
Oh, so it's the full gas, that's on Saturday? Is that what you said?
Saturday, Sunday. Yeah, Saturday. So the full gas is Saturday, Sunday, but they pay points by the day, so I'm going to have to take Saturday as a drop and do the Sunday event, score some points.
So you got frequent flyer miles then, I'm guessing?
I need to write that down. I'm already lost.
Well, all of these flights aren't on my account, but so they're not my points, but
yeah. But now that's awesome. You're going to be the jet setter of off-road racing. So you're not giving up. Sounds like 2 wheels for 4 anytime soon is what it sounds like.
No, absolutely not. No, actually, when I got the phone call for when I was asked to be in the passenger seat, I said, "Well, I'd love to. It's just that there's 2 things that I have. One, most importantly, is college. I said there's going to be a couple nights where I'm going to have to go in the motor coach and sit down and just work on my homework.
That's awesome.
Now, luckily, I was able to get it all done in advance before I ever even came, so I don't have any of that stress over my head. And I also said that I got a couple events that I'm going to have to chase, and I said I'm going to have to leave the lake bed for 2 days. And he said, "Well, that's can we fly you?" And I said, "Well, sure." The next day, I had itineraries in my inbox.
Yeah, I won't say no.
So, yes, and so he fully understands and supports the fact that I'm chasing my own racing career, and also trying to finish school and then being involved in his racing team. So. It's pretty great to be a part of this. That's for sure.
If you ever said you got to say no, he says, I can't do it, but I know this guy. He's not a very good mechanic. He's never been in a rock crawler before.
Right.
He has, no experience with off-road racing to speak of. You just throw my name out there, all right? And, I'll be fine with that.
I'll be sure to do that.
All right.
He's cheap
I'm
date.
sure that. That'll save me a lot of heartache because those kind of people are hard to find that want to get in that race car.
Yeah. Oh.
Yeah. Let's go 110 through the what?
Through 3 or 4 feet deep
Yeah.
woods. We'll cruise about 60 to 80 in that stuff, depending on the frequency and height. But
Be excited to see some footage
but this
of
race
that.
car, so this race car's got an LS 440 in it, and it's tuned down to 700 horsepower.
Oh.
Tuned down.
Is that okay? That's awesome. Well, that's
So that engine's capable of 1,000.
Wow. All right. So so it sounds like then you're doing the National Enduro. Do you plan on doing competing in the series this year?
Yeah. So this year's plan, as far as two-wheel sports is concerned, is fully committed to National Enduro Full Gas Sprint Enduro Series.
Wow.
I decided that it was time to go ahead and instead of chasing points for a national and a local, to go ahead and do full gas and national.
Okay.
National Enduro, and then we're going to run the qualifiers, and that's kind of the game plan for this year.
And
awesome.
So not as many of the Arkansas series this year?
No, I mean, I'll be at a pretty decent handful of them. They're close to home, and there's plenty of weekends where I don't have any nationals going on. So obviously I'm going to go and have fun and see my friends and stay warm on the bike. But as far as spending all that energy and time and money, it's possible, but we'd literally be racing 45 weekends a year. And
how many years have you won the title there?
That's this year. 2018 was 3 in a row.
3 in a row. Yeah.
3-peat. Nice.
Awesome. Well, that's pretty awesome. Wish best of luck to you. And then are you doing for this 4-wheel team you're on? What kind of racing do you call that? I don't know. Sorry.
Well, the series is called Ultra 4.
Okay. So are you doing the whole series? That's what I was going to ask.
Well, we're still hashing out exactly what the plan's going to be. They do have a short series. It's got, I think it's 4 or 5 rounds. And then the main race, King of the Hammers, so 6. They do 2 one in California, 1 in Nevada, 1 at the Badlands in Indiana. They do 1 in Baja, and there's and 1 in Kentucky.
Huh.
So he's thinking he's going to run the series. And we've already, the dates work out, which is a miracle. And then he's also got his eye on wanting to do the Baja 1000, but we're not sure if that's gonna lay out this year or not. I mean, as you can imagine, this is not. We race motorcycles because they're affordable.
Yeah.
This is
I can't imagine how much money goes in one of those cars.
A lot. More than I could dream of. But this is sort of a budding thing here, and luckily Quentin and I have spent a couple days in the race car already together, and we work really well. We communicate really well, and there has to be a really good connection between a driver and a co-driver. Running the car together, running that whole operation together. We're going to sit there with each other for 12 hours. I mean, it's an endurance race, so. It seems to be working out right now, and so this is sort of a budding thing, and we're going to get through this race week and see how it goes.
Awesome.
Killer.
Well, James, thanks for calling in. I do appreciate it. Man, just catching up with you and just finding out about what's going on with your season and the ISDE.
Yeah, you wore me out. I mean, I'm exhausted.
You are having a wild time right now, I can imagine. So, best of luck to you in 2009. What?
Thank you.
Yeah, best of luck, and we'll talk to you later, okay, James?
Yeah, man, I appreciate it.
I wanted to say, actually, I'm sorry, sponsors and supporters. So, do you have any, or do you want to tell us who helps you out racing?
Yeah, man. First and foremost, I got to thank Steve Underwood at Marionville Power Sports. He's down in Marionville, Missouri, which is about 30 minutes south of Springfield.
Yep.
He without Steve, I mean, none of this would happen.
Great guy.
He's really stepped up big time. Yeah, he's a fantastic guy. He's an awesome motorcycle dealer. I mean, he's who you need to go to for any of your off-road needs. Bulletproof Designs, that's another Missouri-based company that really helps me out there with my guards. TBT Suspension with Brady Metter. He's out of Oklahoma, not very far. He keeps some great suspension under me. And those are a lot of local companies that really step up for me. Ken Tires is what I run. Use funnel web filters in my bike. There's a lot of people that I'd really love to thank. Unfortunately, I don't have my book here.
I'm sorry.
I can't believe you can't remember it all. Everything else you got going on. I mean,
I put you on the spot. I apologize. So,
well, if it gives you any idea, I've been up since 5 o'clock my time.
Right. Same.
With about 4 hours of sleep last night,
nice.
Prepping the car and getting it set up. So.
Well, I appreciate the time you took out of your day to come talk to us and just kind of fill you in. And, best of luck. And, James, we'll talk to you later, okay?
Absolutely. Thank you, guys.
Thanks, James. See you, buddy.
Bye.
Wow, that guy has talk about a full. I thought I was busy.
Yeah.
And then no, never mind. Oh, I
and he's
got
going to
4 hours
college.
of sleep last night too, but that's easy.
Yeah.
Compared to that, wow.
And college.
Yeah, and college.
So, look at the time.
It's awesome. We're having a great time, man.
So I have a bunch of other stuff I was going to talk about. We're not going to, but I did want to bring up one thing. We had, if you listened last time, Ian Hanners and I talked quite a bit about Colton Haker and Cody Webb. I don't know how people didn't see it if you're on Facebook or anything like that, but did you see the mid-air collision?
That was Taddy and
Taddy.
Yeah.
So
Taddy and Colton came to where they both went to jump the tires, but they came to the same line, and then it was like a springboard. They both shot out, and he hit the finish line post where his bike hit it, and he went flying, and luckily Colton just kind of went off the other side and got back up, but it looked like Taddy slammed pretty hard in the face of that jump.
He was back for the next moto. He ended up having a crash and DNF in the next moto, but I guess he was relatively okay. But what I thought is interesting, and I was surprised because I did a little thing after our podcast saying, who do you guys root for? I won't lie, I'm a Cody Webb fanboy. All right,
Cody, he's awesome.
But I'm starting to like Colton the more I look into him. But I was surprised. Like 90% of people said Colton. I'm like, well, you guys are all wrong. But first of all, but it was kind of neat. So because he posted something about the jump, right? He put a video up online, and he said, "Yeah, there was Daddy there. He's making strong, so I kind of moved over a little bit to kind of block the path before the pass could happen." I was like, "So you did intentionally kind of cross jump that thing?" And I was like, "He is fierce. He is a fierce
those guys
competitor,
beast mode all the time."
Yeah,
I like it when they do the hot lap. When they'll send the one guy goes out before the race, and they're jumping stuff that's like
just make it look easy.
Yeah, way too easy.
But stuff I get stuck on, like might just set my frame there and I'll be down there for a while.
Yeah, I have a lot of videos. Like What Is or What If. You ever seen any of those?
I can't say I have.
Motorcycle films. They're really good. But like Cody Webb and a bunch of them are in there, and they talk about what they like and go on a ride. And like Cody Webb and I can't remember his name, but anyway, they like go out in the mountains and they just free ride, and it's amazing because they're like doing trial stuff on dirt bikes, you know, and it's those guys are something else. It's cool to watch.
So, anyways, that's really. I'm gonna just kind of cut it short there. Jeff, thank you.
Hey, glad to be here, man.
For coming on, I do appreciate it. This I think makes it much more fun. I know for me.
Oh yeah,
just me trying to talk to a camera and
camera by yourself,
and then your input with you knew a lot more about James's experience down in Chile than I did. So
you got to watch, man. I mean, that's our local boys. We got to support them, you know.
He is. So, and then of course, if you want to in the future, if you guys are watching this or want to watch it, or you don't make a show, remember just look at Y Rush Racing on any of your
Subscribe.
podcasts. Yeah, subscribe, follow, whatever all that stuff is. Do appreciate it. Yeah, so I think that's. Do you have anything else?
Just want everybody to know that our Missouri State Series this year is going to be awesome. So I'd like to have everybody come out and play with us. Got a lot of great sponsors this year. About Fast Company. I mean, just everybody. Armless Seam and going with everything they give away to us riders. To give back to the series is amazing and stuff that we're doing this year. Trying real hard to make it great for everybody. And one other little thing, though, my restaurant, or not my restaurant, but where I'll be working, Flat Creek in Republic, opens February 5th. I'll be bartending in there, so you guys come in, have some drinks, and enjoy some great food. And
awesome.
Be happy to see some friends there, too.
Yeah. So that Flat Creek in Republic, February 5th.
Opens February 5th.
All right.
It's an amazing place, let me tell you.
We'll be there. So, Jeff.
Awesome, man.
Thank you.
Talk to y'all later. See you. Well, I guess we got Wayza coming up, Hillbilly. Next weekend, right?
Next
not
weekend.
this weekend, but
no,
next
not
week.
this weekend. Yeah.
Yeah. Not this Sunday, next Sunday, right?
Yeah, the 10th.
Yeah,
10th,
no, I
yeah.
can't remember what the date is, but yeah, get up there and tell, I probably won't be there this year because or this race because I got to work so much. So, Chili and Jordan, sorry, but you might lose a trail slave.
Yeah. I'm looking forward. West Valley is one of my favorite. It's
a good fun course.
It is
not too
flowy.
hard, but I like the fast flow of
it has
it
a
and
great flow.
some of those nice bank corners you can rail into and
It's gonna be awesome.
good times, man.
I will see you guys there. Bye.
See you, boys.